Hey, discerning listeners, 90-Day Fiancé, happily ever after. Let's watch.
I flew this trip took me longer than Zanzibar took me. You know what I mean?
I don't understand why so many people on this show talk like this. I put all this out, like, so what are you asking? So Usman's going to be like, oh, okay, well, in light of that, then, okay, I will completely forego all of my life's wishes and dreams, my culture, because you bought a plane ticket and spent a week or two coming out. So I guess I get that people will grab at whatever they can, but I have to say, I don't know if I've heard that outside of this show in this situation, because it's such a small thing. You know, it'd be different if people on the show, it's something like, I've wasted 2 years of my life thinking that we were going to be in love and spend the rest of our life together, and now you're saying that it's over. You know, it's 2 years of my life that I could have been doing something else. That I would understand, and that I have heard. But this idea of, like, I spent money and I came out, you know, I got a plane ticket. It's like, and you know, maybe it's easier to say that, right? It's much more vulnerable to say that you've wasted 2 years. And I guess this is another maybe angle to look at, Kimberly, is that underneath are probably the feelings that I could understand. Like earlier, last episode, oh my God, are we incompatible? Is this not going to work? But instead, she talks about interruption. And right now she's thinking, oh my God, we're done? Like, it's just over? I've wasted my life the past couple years. But what she says is, I spent money on a plane ticket.
I flew this trip took me longer than Zanzibar took me. You know what I mean? Bought all new clothes. Got my hair done, got my nails redone. For what? Because believe it or not, in the past 2 years, I have made you my life. I've put everything on the back burner, and you know this. Okay,
so now she's getting to it. Now, I would hope that she would just be speaking out loud instead of saying, or maybe she's asking for some compassion, some indication that he cares about, because the way he's coming across, it wouldn't be unreasonable to conclude it's just like, well, okay, I guess it didn't work, moving on in life. And she's like, wait, what? Like, did you care at all? And I could see it going either way. I know a lot of people think he doesn't care at all, but I don't know.
I'm not going to take that all the time. Maybe we just need to understand this relationship. It's not going to be possible. I'm not going to continue this way.
Do you mean continue with me?
I don't know.
So I don't know what's really happening here, but I can use it as a jumping off point. I think for a lot of people, when they hit this point where Usman is, I think where he's hit is, this is over, it's not going to work. Either he was never into her, or he wasn't that into her, or he has logically concluded that there's just no way it's going to work given their incompatibilities. And he is fully accepting that in his mind. Now, but he's avoiding pulling the plug for whatever reason. Maybe he's like, well, let's give it a few days. Let's really make sure. Or he wants to string out more episodes. Or the producers are telling him not to do it. Or he is afraid of hurting her feelings. So obviously most people aren't on reality TV. So often what people will do, and to some extent you want people to do this, you know, when they decide I'm going to break up with someone, you want people to have compassion enough to be like, ooh, you know, this is going to hurt them. I don't want to do that, right? But at some point, you have to do it. It's moral to do it as soon as you know that it's for sure, right? And it is, to some extent, immoral to string someone along. Now, he has communicated pretty clearly to her that it probably is over, and so it's not like he's deceiving her, but I wonder what's going on in his mind as to why he doesn't, in this moment, just be like, yeah, I'm sorry. Because he seems to be trying to do that. He's calm, and he seems to be trying to exhibit. Now he's on his phone, so it's only going so far. But yeah, I hope that they have a good breakup, because it'll give me a chance to comment on that.
I woke up this morning and I felt really bad about that. I really shouldn't have lost control of my emotions, even though I feel like he disrespected me. I'm too old to be throwing things to handle my problems.
Okay, good. So she's saying it was wrong for her to do that and that she feels bad, which is good. And I'm not terribly surprised by that because there was a time, there's that interview. I just always, because the show, they edit it a certain way, they massage the situation a certain way, they coach people in a certain way. And it's always interesting to see these cast members interviewed on other shows. And she was interviewed on some other show, I think Entertainment Tonight or something. And the way she was talking, actually, Jasmine, Gino and Jasmine, she also was interviewed, I think, on the same show. And the way she was talking, it is just a totally different side of these individuals. And I remember thinking with Kimberly that, okay, she's a lot more rational in real life than she comes across on the show. So she's exhibiting that here. I think she still has some issues, but it's nice to see that she can actually admit that that was wrong.
Hey. Hey,
Hi.
what are you doing?
Just having, taking fresh air.
Okay.
How are you?
Regardless of how you feel, if you're Usman about Kim, probably shouldn't just be on your phone. I mean, that's pretty immature. It's passive aggression. It's unfair. If you don't want to talk to her, you can say, I don't want to talk to you. But it's, it's not really, I don't think we've seen that kind of behavior from him before.
Like, I just want to say I'm sorry,
Your coffee,
Thank you.
Just enjoy your coffee.
Okay, so, I like to analyze apologies. And she said, I'm sorry. I'd just like to let you know that I'm sorry. And that's, it says something. But I think for Usman, given his demeanor, I think he wants more indication, right? So you want to have all the elements, especially in a situation like that. The larger the transgression, which, that was pretty big, the more elements of the apology that you need to have fully exhibited and also maybe repeated and came at from a number of different angles. So, saying you're sorry, it's a start. And then when I splashed you with the milkshake thing, it was totally wrong, totally uncalled for. There's no reason for it. I do that sometimes. I did that other time. Not okay. It's abusive. It's violent. It's wrong. You didn't deserve that. And I'm sorry. So it's one thing to say you're sorry, right? It's another thing to say what I said, which it's like, oh, okay, you really are sorry. You really do recognize. So that's the other part of the apology process is fully describe the transgression. Just saying you're sorry, it's a starting point. But, in my role play, it's, I shouldn't have done that thing. I shouldn't have splashed you with a milkshake. I shouldn't have splashed you with that thing. And when we were in Zanzibar, it was wrong. There's no justification for it. I feel bad about it. I'm sorry for even justifying it afterwards. I was triggered at the time. It doesn't excuse it, but I was in a different state of mind, which I will get into sometimes. And I'm sorry. And the reason why I did that is because I was so hurt. It doesn't justify it, but I want to explain to you that I was so hurt hearing you talk about these other wives. It completely freaked me out, and I thought I was going to lose you, and I still think that might happen. But in that moment, it was such a shock, and I was so hurt, and I learned that behavior from my parents, which isn't okay. I'm working on that. And so, those are more details that you could provide that could really show to someone that not only you're really sorry, but also that you have a pathway to work on it, right? Now, I think Usman might be like, but we're done, so let's move on. But even if you're done, he deserves an apology. He should apologize as well and say, I'm sorry, I wasn't fully upfront about what having another wife really meant. I thought you understood that, honestly, but that was stupid of me because why would you understand that? You're an American. You don't do that. So that's on me. I didn't mean to, but honestly, I was avoiding it because I didn't want to have a fight with you, and I was hoping that everything would be okay, but that was wrong of me. I should have really just sat down and said, okay, I got to tell her the full thing because she probably doesn't fully understand. That's on me. he could apologize for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please don't forget, what you're having there is coffee and it's hot water. Don't throw it.
I'm not going to do it again. I promise you. I'm really sorry that I acted like that. That's not who I am. I mean, I'm sorry about, like, everything. Last night was the first night, except for when I threw the water on you, but last night was the first night you've ever seen me like that.
Well, that's interesting. It almost sounds like she has a pattern of that, which I would not be surprised. And she's saying, that's not the first time I've seen that. I know that's in me. And that's the first time, aside from that other time. She's like, that's the only time you've seen, well, aside from that other time. They haven't been together that long. So, I think what she's saying is, I'm normally really great to you. And so you should be grateful that you haven't seen that side of me. That's not a very good element of an apology.
I really want to know what triggered you that way.
Like, you knew me coming here. You knew that I was going to have questions, that we were going to have to talk about this face to face. And then, like, I felt like you told me that the first wife gets all the love. And
Okay, this is good that they're having this conversation. It's a great question from him. Like, what triggered you? It's a great question, worded really well. Not like, why are you an abusive a-hole? It's, what triggered you? What was the pain? What was the worry there? And so now she's about to explain that. And I think he's conceding that he understands. And I think, one of the main topic sentences of the misunderstanding was, he would say, you would be the most respected wife of the wives. You'd be at the top. You would rank the highest. And to her, she thought that meant, so I would have 99% of your attention. You wouldn't really even love the other woman, right? But what he meant was, no, I'm the patriarch. All the women are below me. And of the women that are below me, you would be the most respected among the women. I wouldn't, and I would respect that system, but I wouldn't be like deferring to you, because that's not how we do it in Nigeria. Men don't defer to their wives. So I think that was the misunderstanding.
second one was kind of just like a baby maker. That's what you told me. Like, I don't get the whole story. I get, like, the things you want me to hear because you don't want to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that.
Great. Sounds like she's really done a lot of soul searching in the time that, she had to think about it overnight. And she says, I think you were not telling me the whole situation because you didn't want to hurt me. It's a great thing to kind of sneak in there, right? It's not like you were purposely deceiving me. It was, you were worried that it was going to hurt me. And that's why you weren't upfront, which I think is true.
The subject matter didn't get me mad. It's the way you're handling it with me.
I am very sorry.
So that I have a problem with, and maybe she's still adjusting, but I was saying this when she was yelling at him the previous night, was like, it's the interruption and all that kind of stuff. It's like, she's even saying it right now. I'm not bothered by the content. I'm bothered by the delivery. And that doesn't make any sense. She could have a problem with the delivery, I suppose, but the content is much more impactful. The content is the problem. He is revealing his deal breaker, which is essentially, you would be a second-class citizen and he will absolutely be spending a lot of time and actually expects you to live with these women. You are a part of, that harem. I don't know what word to put to it. And so that was upsetting to you, and that was bothersome. That was worrisome to you. You also didn't like the fact that I was interrupting you. But she's still telling herself, I'm okay. Now, maybe she's adjusted. Maybe in the past 16 hours, she's like, okay, maybe I could live with that because she wants to try to make it work.
If I offended you in any way.
I don't want my relationship with Usman to end. But with Usman not telling me, like, the whole way things would go with the second wife makes me really emotional because it feels like I came down here, I'm willing to let this happen so we can be together, and then it's just like, he'll just tells me things I want to hear all the time.
Yeah, that's good for her to recognize. I mean, that's one way of putting it. I think the previous way she put it is probably more accurate. So it all hinges on if he actually loves her, actually has affection for her. If he does, which there is evidence of, then he wasn't upfront because he didn't want to lose her, didn't want to upset her. If he's not that into her, then he was not telling her because he's playing a game. He wants to be on the TV show. He doesn't actually really like her. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, if Usman's telling me the truth or he's me because he thinks that's what I want to hear. What if we get married and I find out that things aren't the way he said when he was me?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only that, but even if he told you what the situation is going to be and it's an accurate description, you probably, Kimberly, have no idea even what that means because you've never lived that life of one of many wives in a culture that is, yeah, there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns. And there's a pretty good chance that even if you were told accurately what the picture was, you still would not deal with it very well because you don't want that life.
What happened last night? This should happen like some times ago, not now, because this
Then you should have been honest about this whole second marriage thing with me from the beginning. This is changing my whole life. It's not this is your custom. This isn't mine. And I feel like I love you enough to accept it, but I need to understand it too. And I feel like you disregard that with me. And I don't know why you do that to me. Nobody has been in your corner more than me.
Okay. I mean, it's good that they're talking about this. I think she's starting to escalate again, which is understandable. He's not, which is interesting. But okay, I just hope she kind of reels it in a little bit. I think I would. So the big question is, what's the flexibility, right? Is she actually flexible to what he wants? Is he flexible to what she wants? Because if they're not, then yeah, they should do what Usman says and end it. If it is possible that there's some overlap there, then maybe it's worth trying to explain everything and work everything out and understand each other. I don't know. So if I were Kimberly or Usman, I would, or both, or a therapist sitting there, I'd be like, okay, let's fully describe the situation. Usman, what does it look like? What will it look like? Where's the flexibility? Okay, Kimberly, do you want that? Could you cope with that? Could you change your preferences to adjust to that? Is that fair to you? You know, let's really get down to exactly, because even though they did talk about it the previous night, it was still pretty surface. So I would, hope that they would clarify more. It's also possible that Usman's just like, no, I clearly am seeing that you're not actually willing to live that life, and so thus it should end.
If you've seen that, then you've seen it in the wrong way.
I mean, I'm here for you.
Because if you're saying that you're here for me, what is it that I'm doing for you? Or you don't see anything me doing for you?
No, I see. Of course I do. But you know what I mean? Like, how many women from America would actually come down here, fall in love with somebody 18 years younger than them, and then be okay with them taking a second wife? Like, I don't feel you give me enough credit for that at all.
Okay, if she wants credit, then yeah, she could ask for that. He could say, yeah, thanks for adjusting in that way. I don't think it's going to be enough because I don't think you are willing to adjust as far as I need you to or want you to. But yeah, I appreciate that you stretched your limits to accommodate us in this relationship. I also want credit, because it sounds like he's saying that as well, for the things that I adjusted for.
That would be very difficult for me because I am bringing another white older lady down to my family, and I'm worried because I know they're not going to like her. I really want us, to have a good time because today, don't forget, today is my birthday party.
Am I still going? Do you want me to go?
Do you want to come?
Okay, wait, what? So he was even referring to bring her to his family. So we're back into the normalcy of their relationship? Like everything's back to normal? I don't understand. Is he sweeping everything under the rug? Is he extending out the season? I don't understand. Because last night he was like, maybe this isn't going to work. And I was like, it kind of looks that way. So this is a risk, because if he does that, then they will both go into deluding themselves that there isn't this massive elephant in the way of their relation, meaning that, the polygamy issue, the cultural differences, that it doesn't exist, and then they'll just kick the can down the road. Is that what's happening?
But honestly, I'm scared now. Any way I'm going to, if you're going to be around there.
No.
No, it's not. No,
You'll never see. I might get mad, but you'll never see that side of me again.
Okay, but I want you
But
to
if I
understand.
get mad, I'll talk to you in private. I won't do it like in front of people. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
I can't imagine. I mean, I wouldn't trust it if I was Usman. I wouldn't be like, oh, okay, because it's not like she woke up that morning and says, I'm gonna explode and be violent with him. I'm not. She didn't make a. No one plans to do that, or very few people do. So, the fact that she's saying, I'm never gonna do that again. I mean, maybe there's some level of trust, but I wouldn't trust it.
Like, I'll never do that again. You'll never see that side of me again, ever.
Okay. You know I love you, right?
Can I get some Yammy sometime? Just
Is that what
It's
you
been
want?
2 days.
Is that what you want?
It's been 2 days.
Okay, bend down.
Okay, well, I mean, it's good that they can have some laughs, but it almost sounds like what Kimberly is saying is, let's stay together for another couple days, and there'll be some Yammy, and then it'll be over. We'll have some last laughs and some good times, and then we'll part, and it'll be all be over. Maybe that's what they're saying. I mean, I'll tell you, I kind of hope that's what is happening, because that'd be a nice way to break up if they're both cool with it. And two, it would eliminate the problem, which is that I don't think they're compatible. I mean, can we imagine Kimberly actually dealing with another wife who has kids, and how much time it would take for him to spend time? Like, I just can't imagine that working for her. I think it wouldn't work for a lot of people. So it just seems like, why would you continue to go down this road? Now, there'd be nothing wrong with Kimberly saying like, well, I'm not having any more kids, and thus I don't necessarily need to get married, and I like spending time with him. So maybe if we just keep it casual, like friends with benefits kind of thing, or don't ask, don't tell, regarding as long as there's no STI. Like, maybe I don't know, just trying to help the two of them, I suppose.
Bend down now.
We're outside. There's people around.
I'm just saying.
You're so dumb.
Behave yourself well. After birthday party, get in Yammy tonight.
You're so dumb. I love you.
Yeah, it's nice. A lot of the characters on this show, we don't see this kind of affection or makeup, humor, and so it's good to see. It's a good model to follow, that because there's a choice that they both have to make. They both have to make that choice of like, okay, let's have some fun, let's smile. He had to say, I love you, right? I mean, it's just a great thing to say in a situation like that. Even if they are about to break up, it's just kind. That's one of the things that I often will say, and I'll say again, which is that if you are breaking up with someone, which I think is happening, I don't know if I want to hope, but anyway, for really both their sakes, but for Usman, if he is breaking up, it is a good idea to leave your former partner with a narrative that you did love them and you did care about them, and yet you still decided you didn't want to be with them anymore. Because for the Kimberlys of the world, if you don't do that, there's a temptation to believe that he never loved me, he never cared about me, or I'm not lovable, I'm not, careable, and so I can't trust anyone and I hate myself. Whereas if the narrative is, well, he did love me for a time, but our incompatibilities got in the way, that's going to have a much less damaging effect on one's trust of self and others. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself and take care of others, because we all deserve it. We really, really do.